I'm gonna let people know that the thing is happening. But yes, it's Wednesday, but there is no session because I don't know why we just didn't end up having one. I wanted a break and get enough time to get stuff together. I think Devin's playing Persona as well, so like I wasn't gonna have Devin try to play Persona and D&D. It would be too much for his little mind. But
Trying to drag him away from that.
yeah. But anyway, a big key important thing happened in the last session, but it got brushed away because well, the honest answer is everyone was talking over each other so much that I felt that something that was actually relatively important to the story and a character's development probably should get its own time, or at least part of its own time. So here we are. And what I mean when I say that is the chat between Nerestine and Gaul, which was kind of brushed over as, oh, the two are going to go and talk about something. Do. You talk about what a DVD is, I guess. And now this is that chat. So I'm going to move maps back to where we used to be. I'm going to go to Gaul's. I'm going to zoom in. And we're going to play the old game of we're now going back in time and doing something that
It says Caitlin's here.
what
Of course, Caitlin would
in
be
the
here
Discord or
in the Twitch chat.
oh, okay, well that's fine. Should I be here, Devon? I mean, you're listening, so you should. I mean, if you want to be here, I'm not saying the players that are part of this can't watch this. I'm only saying that the players can watch, but characters know nothing about what happens unless Nerestine deems to speak to them about what happens. So yeah, this will just be between Nerestine and Gaul, and if you want to watch, you can watch, but if not, then you don't know until you are told about it. Anyhow, we will go from there. So, I believe you were the one that wanted to speak to Gaul. So we'll pick it up from when you invited to Gaul over to talk to him, and you can say what you want to say. I already kind of know what Gaul's gonna say. So, how would Nerestine start the conversation? Having called Gaul over, what does she do? What does she say?
It's a weird situation
Mm-hmm.
considering everything that's been going on, but she would want to speak to him about death in general, how one becomes equated with the death domain, how someone intertwines their life with it, how he started seeking out that kind of life. So, like, they would ask what tempted them to start seeking out that kind of life.
Ah, well, okay. You're gonna make me think back to a very very long time ago. So, I guess the reason I ended up seeking this kind of power was because, well, first of all, I didn't want to die. Dying is if thought about death for a while. It's pretty fucking scary. You don't know if you're gonna go to hell, if you're gonna go to heaven, or if your soul is just gonna be plucked free and eaten by some ever-consuming void dragon. So, first of all, there was that. I was pretty good with magic when I was a kid, young sorcerer, controlling the tides of magic, twisting it to my own ends. But as I got older and I saw people die, I was kind of terrified of the prospect of it happening to me. So I started looking out for knowledge that perhaps people wouldn't want you to get your hands on. Stuff that's a little bit darker in tone. Eventually, I stumbled upon someone who made me an offer. He said that he would teach me to be a necromancer and to be able to control the tides of my own life. But there would be a cost. So I had to pay that price if I wanted a shot at immortality. Why would you ask such a thing? You have my curiosity now, Drow.
Well, I'm in a similar situation as you. The idea, already as an elf, I live ungodly long. I'm sure you're aware of that.
Yes, I know about you
But
elves.
even then, death comes for everybody at some point. Age creeps up on everybody eventually.
Yes, or a knife between the ribs, or poison in a cup, as it may be with some of your people.
Yes, that does not bother me in the slightest. It's the age. It's the it's the dying old. It's all of that scares me.
Ah, interesting. You fear the slow, withering decay until eventually you are not able to move from your bed and you die alone, hoping that instead you would have died years ago in some noble fight or attempted an assassination. You wish not to wither, I understand.
Yes, I would much rather meet my end either in battle or by someone else's blade than having grown old and feeble and wretched, unable to live a life of my own choice.
Mm.
I want to have control over death similar to you, but not to that degree, pardon the bluntness of it, but as a husk of a person.
No, I truly am not as physically here as I once was. This tends to happen after the thousands of years that I exist. However, necromancy is an art that changes depending on the individual who wields it. I, when alive, was just a mere human, so the downsides of necromancy for me would be different to the downsides of necromancy for you. But I do have to ask, if you got what you wanted, what would you do with the outstretched time of eternity?
I I honestly do not know. Uh, the idea of fearing what comes at the end of life has prevented me from thinking what I would do without that fear.
Is there no hope, no plan, nothing, only running away from the terror of the grave?
There's just a long pause because there's just, I mean, it's been a deep seated fear in Nerestine that growing old and feeble is a really deep all-encompassing fear of theirs that the idea of being free from that leads to an endless field of opportunity. So,
I
so when
see. Well, it has been a very long time for me. No one has proven their worth of tutorship for some several centuries. Tell me, Drow, are you aware of a Mortis contract?
uh, would I be aware of that?
You can roll religion or you can roll history. Yeah, so with that roll, I would say it's good enough to know that at some point in your underdellings in the Underdark, you heard little bits of rumors and little bits of information about something called a Mortis contract. You don't quite know what it is, but you know that it's some kind of contract that binds someone who practices necromancy with someone else, someone learning necromancy or someone on the road to learning necromancy. So you know that it's some kind of contract made between a necromancer and someone that works with them or for them.
Okay.
It's such a unknown thing that you get that bare information for that. If you'd have got below like a 16, there would have been no information. It's like you know nothing. It's not something that's widely known. It's something that's very secretive, very unknown.
Okay, yeah, I figured just because of how few and far between you are to run into a necromancer to begin with, I figured their contracts would be very vague as well.
Yeah, this is very very unknown. There's not a whole bunch of necromancers in this world. There are some, but often they get put down by some self-righteous hero or some internal squabble. Necromancers rise and fall very quickly. They don't tend to languish or stay around, from what you know. So, and they keep a lot to themselves. They don't tend to talk a lot to outward people. So that's what you know. But Gull has asked, what do you know about a Mortis contract, or if you know anything about what a Mortis contract is? Do you respond to him, or?
Yeah, to some extent, I know of what one is, but because there are so few of you, I don't know the full understanding of what one is.
Well, the way a Mortis contract works is a necromancer allies him or herself with another individual. They share a bond, and with that bond, share a link of power. It allows a would-be necromancer to start the very earliest of processes into becoming a fully fledged necromancer, until they learn to wield the power themselves, until they learn to control it themselves. They borrow power from the necromancer that they have made a contract with. However, as you can probably tell from your lineage, I will not mince words, there is another side to a contract like this. The terms are that you get to borrow some of the main necromancer's power. However, there must be payment. The necromancer may ask a task of you to do, or they may give you a series of tasks or a set of rules that you must live by. They may even make you some kind of thrall of theirs, because for such power there is always a price. I am prepared to offer a contract to you, so that for now you may leech off of some of my power, as I did my master when they were around. But of course, I will require payment for such a service.
What became of your master
Well,
when you became a full necromancer?
well, you see, the thing about eternity is that eventually it becomes too much for you. The master before myself, the third Dread Lord, lived for a very, very long time. He saw ages pass that aren't even written in the history books anymore. It became too much for him, and so in the end he decided that he would willingly pass on. Some say that the madness that afflicts those who live too long is a curse from the god of death, meant to drive us to our own ends.
And what are your thoughts on that?
I can understand where he came from. Originally, I thought myself foolish enough to know or think that I knew that not such a thing would happen to me. That I would live on for eternity and never feel like it was breaking my mind. However, now that I have come to live these 4,000 years, I see some understanding in what my master said. I do find, however, that a task or a goal will help you from becoming a hollow-minded individual, begging for your own demise. That is why I asked you, given eternity, what would you do with it?
I think given an eternity without the fear of death, without the fear of feebleness, I would be able to be given a chance to find purpose, to find peace within myself that I have never been able to find.
Well then, I say once more, the contract is open. All you need do is accept it.
There's another long pause before Nerestine does eventually accept the contract.
He would hold out his hand and he would draw an arcane sigil in the air, much like he did previously when he was giving you all his own teleportation mark. But he would do it this time, and you notice that the same kind of purplish, hazy energy fixes in the air, showing the sigil that hangs there like smoke. As it hangs there, you can feel a strange sensation inside you. You feel different. You don't understand how, but you feel that something about you has fundamentally changed. You can't get it. It doesn't feel nice. It doesn't feel bad. It feels like you're getting into a warm bath. And just as your body starts to adapt, before it feels good, but after it feels too hot, that lull point where you're not quite sure how to feel, that immerses your entire body. And for a brief second, there is a purple glow in your eyes, and the sigil that he scanned into the air just fades away like purple smoke. And he will say then, opening his skeletal mouth, "The contract has been signed. You have willingly accepted. You are now bound to my powers, and my powers are bound to you. You may not access more than your body can take, but over time, as your body adapts and you embrace the power of death itself, your ability to handle it will increase, and you will find yourself able to do greater feats of necromancy. My books here, some detail necromantic abilities that you may be able to use or attempt to use. I suggest that before your companions realize that you're here, you take a brief look over them and grab one or two to start you on the basics."
I take them up on that offer. While they're still distracted, I go through the shelves looking for necromantic and just books dealing with things associated with death and death domain related things,
So,
and grabbing a few of them to put in my pack.
yeah. If you roll me an investigation, the reason being is you're gonna grab something, but if you get a good enough investigation, you might get something a bit more juicier than just your basic books. Because remember, you're against time here. Okay.
Shit.
No. So you find there is a book on the shelf, red bound, not very big. Maybe about 100 to 200 pages. Not very thick is what I should say. It's quite long, but it's not quite thick. About 100, 200 pages. The pages are gilded on the edge with gold. You can see that this is a book that Gaul actually wrote himself. And you kind of get the feeling, if you take a quick look through it, that this is the writings of a much younger Gaul. This is something that he wrote when he was maybe a couple of 100 years old, not the 4,000-year-old he is, as you see him today. He will, this would be the point where he would pop his head out and mention about the DVD, kind of. You can tell immediately, I don't know if you've picked it up, but when you started talking to Garl separately, he was a very different individual than when he was talking to your group. Like, the kind of playful jokiness that he has with the group has kind of faded away. And you're maybe not seeing the real Garl, but maybe you're seeing the necromancer and not the individual right now. So that's just something just to take into account. I think you would have immediately kind of noticed the difference between that. There is kind of a difference between Gaul and Gaul the Dreadlord. There's kind of almost two different personalities maybe that have formed there. I would have normally said do an insight, but I think because you've taken the time to speak to him separately, you could have picked up on this kind of difference, divergence in personality.
Yeah, I didn't notice that.
Yeah. What he will say is he will then, once you take the book and you shuffle it away, he will say, "I will say to be wary of one of your companions. I think you know the one of whom I talk, the one whom has a thirst for knowledge and carries her own book of dark magic. Bound within that book, there is a being in service to another dark god. This dark god isn't not an enemy of mine, but not exactly an ally. I wish not for that member of your companions to get a hold of some of the information that I have. I do not think that it is fit for them. So I ask that, as part of our contract, any books that I deem fit to give to you, or that you feel a calling to, you do not allow them to see under any circumstance. I do not think that they are prepared or ready for the knowledge that I willingly give to you.
I will make sure that she does not see it.
Good, good. Be very wary of the creature bound in that book. While he is lecherous and idiotic, he does serve a master, and his master is not as foolish as he. Keep your knowledge to yourself, lest others covet it. Be aware that our contract is bound now, and there are rules to our contract. You gain my power and my knowledge, and as time that will double and triple and grow. But if in your pursuit of knowledge you die, your body is mine.
Well, what happens to my body after I'm dead is of really no concern, because it's no longer my body.
Well then, it seems that that part of the arrangement matters you not, and we are in complete agreement. I would suggest now that you hurry on back to your companions, and perhaps not speak of what exactly we spoke of here. I will allow you to think of whatever it is you wish. If they ask you what you wish to say to them is up to you, but they cannot find out what we did speak about. Do I make myself clear, Nerestine?
Yes, considering how little they choose to speak to me, I don't think there's anything to worry about.
Should they fall at any point, perhaps try to keep their body. They may be of some use to you as your power grows. As you said, if their soul has fluttered on away to their afterlife, what need have they of the flesh that is left behind?
I'll definitely take that into consideration.
Good, good. Well then, for now we are done. When you feel that you require more abilities, or that you are ready to embrace more of the energies of death, feel free to return to this place, and we may go over what you have learned, and I may imbue some more of my own abilities towards you.
I will definitely be returning at some point.
Yeah, and then with that, Gaul will go back to his playful, jokey self, and as happened in the session, you would return to the group, and you would continue to go on your merry way. And that was a nice little side piece for the campaign that I have titled the Mortis Contract, because that's what happened. You are now in with your sheet. You now have a single level in Death Cleric. You do not have a god associated to you. You instead have a necromancer associated to you, which is Gaul himself. If you ever get any abilities that mean that you contact your god, you do not contact your god, you contact Gaul himself. He acts as a sort of god towards you, but he is not a god that requires veneration. You do not need to venerate him in any way, or stick to any laws or rules as a cleric might or a paladin might. Instead, you have to return to Gaul every so often to increase your abilities, to learn more, and be aware that if you do die, your body belongs to Gaul. He can use your body for whatever he wishes to use it for. You may end up being another one of his guards to his home, or he may use you for other reasons, but that is that is
pervert.
No, he's skull and bones. He's got no use to people for that. He's far more interested in the field of knowledge and the books that he had. What I would say for your own personal records, and what I'm going to be doing with other people if they make little deals like this, is for your own general information sheet under factions, I'd like you to add either student of Gaul or apprentice of Gaul or something on there, just to show that you have a faction now with Gaul himself. You are in a sort of hidden cabal with him that the rest of the group is unaware of. Again, whether you choose to divulge this to them, completely up to you. Gaul specifically has said that he doesn't want you to tell them. And bear in mind that Gaul can choose to end the contract at any point. So, if you don't maybe keep up your end of the bargain, you may have a shadow situation. Okay, but other than that, you are now in fact a level something or other ranger and a level 1 death cleric.
Yep. And Caitlin, you didn't know shit. Shut up.
I think she was talking about the books. The point where you were going over towards the books.
No, she's been talking shit about knowing that I was multi-classing for a while.
Well, I mean, now
I
they all
wasn't
know.
exactly making it hidden.
I mean, you did send me, like, several different options for multi-classing before. So, like, there's the Death Cleric, Tempest Warlock, then there was, I think there was something else, but I can't remember the other one. But yeah, the cat's out of the bag for the players, not the characters. You are, in fact, multi-classing into Death Cleric, which does give you certain abilities, certain interesting spells that may help you later on. It does also mean technically Incineroar is not the only healer, but they don't know that. And until you choose to heal them, they might never know that.
Yeah, I'm not healing her ass. She's a rival now.
I mean, Gaul has set up a little bit of rivalry between the two of you. He does think that there's maybe something about Incineroar he doesn't like. Maybe if you push Gaul later on about why he might not like Incineroar, he might find out some dirt about Incineroar that maybe no one in the party knows yet. But yeah, that's all I've got. Devon is here. I don't know if he's still watching, but he'll download this and we'll throw this up on the YouTube as well. This has been a side event, a side quest, a cutscene for D&D 0% entitled The Mortis Contract. I'm going to end the stream now. Thank you very much for everyone that decided to come along. Feel free to talk about this. Feel free to rewatch and take on board everything that is said. But in terms of streams, I'm going to cut this off now. Thank you for watching if you watched live, or thank you for watching if you watched on the VOD later on. Goodbye.